Welcome everybody to Fortune Nomads. This is awesome. Oh, I can't look at you. What are you doing making faces at me, Daniel? Anyway, I'm gonna have to switch you off. I'm usually the one doing that to him. But anyway, we are recording right now and we're on fortunenomads.net and we're having a good time. We're having a good time because we're learning about trading, we're learning about profits, we're learning about compounding. So tonight we have a special guest with us, Nick Sorensen, and Nick's going to be teaching us about compounding, the power of compounding, and how to make it in this crazy world that we live in. And so, Nick, welcome to our program tonight.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. Bob, it's good to see you. Daniel, some familiar faces there, Gina. So yeah, happy to be on. Happy to talk about not only compounding, but getting your money to work for you. I know, a couple months ago when I was talking to Bob and Daniel on a Zoom like this, they said the coolest thing about like compounding is that you get your money working hard for you. He's like, it's crazy. We work hard our whole life, right, for our money. But like the whole concept of compounding compound interest is getting your money to work hard for you. And when you reach that moment when it does, it's powerful. It's pretty cool. And that's where the wealthy get richer. That's where the people who are not compounding, the money's not working hard for them. It's definitely more of a struggle. So
hey, Nick, but let me just cut you off for a second and ask a question out there to everybody. Has anyone went through a very wealthy neighborhood or places by the beach or anywhere and looked at these multi-million-dollar mansions and go, what in the world does that person do? Has anyone ever asked that question besides me? Nick's going to share with us some of those secrets tonight of what those people do, because I remember you specifically doing that down in Florida and going in the intercoastal, thinking, hey, I'm renting this boat and I got this cool house on the water. And then I turn the corner and there's these big old mansions with these massive, here's what got my attention. Check this out. So there was this yacht that had a boat inside of the yacht that was twice as big as the one that we had rented, and we were going around and I thought we had made it. I'm going, what in the world's going on here? So, we've all probably asked that question. Well, and Nick's going to share with us one of those secrets tonight. So there, Nick, we had fun. Back to you.
No, love it. No, I mean, that's, my wife and I, we do it regularly, right? We want to, I think it keeps, people moving. Someone asked me years ago, like, what's the secret to life? And I think for me, it's just growth, right? It's just growing a little bit, growing a little bit. And the idea of compounding is when you just grow a little bit every single day, it grows on top of itself to where you're to a certain level of point to where it's working for you. And that's where those, like Bob talked about, that's where those people get to where you are when your money's working hard for you. And so I'm going to share a couple slides here real quick and just to kind of talk about, and I think the main reason on one is just because the quote here really hit me with a ton of bricks. Number one, the person who said it, Albert Einstein, one of the most brilliant minds in the history, right? So all the advancements that came from his brain, all of the advancements that even after him came from his brain, of all the things that basically were created, he said that the eighth wonder of the world, right, is compound interest, which was something that he didn't invent, something that didn't come from his brain. It was something that, he didn't really completely discover. But when you see the power of, letting money build on top of itself and getting to a certain point in time where the ball's rolling downhill, it's powerful. And so he's like, he who understands it earns it, right? So those, the yacht owners, the big house owners, those big neighborhoods, like they understand it, right? And then those that don't definitely pay it. So we want to just kind of really, run through something real quick. And I like to really highlight that with this slide here on why we think that it's really important for us to pay attention and seek out tools, situations, ways that you need to definitely compound money. Here's a couple quotes and some stats. Even with last year, with the pandemic that's gone around the world, the number one fear is not a health-related fear. It's of people running out of money. Okay, there are more people in the world that there's too much money at the end of the paycheck, than vice versa, right? currently right now, and this is the United States, one of the wealthiest countries in the world, people in their 50s have only saved an average of about 117,000 for retirement. But according to Fidelity, they said you should have saved 6 times your current salary by that age. Okay. And I think very few people are at that point. In fact, it's almost the opposite, where it's a very small percentage. And when you're 60 and 70, they say it should be 10x of what your retirement is, right? And so that's like the current state of what we are. And so it's important for people to seek out compounding and figure out where you're at. So wherever you're at right now, this is from an article from CNBC that says, hey, here's how much you need to have or put towards your 401k every month to have $1 million in a trading account or an account. And they came up with $1 million because they said for people that want to have a really good lifestyle, like Bob was talking about, like those homes that we all drive through those neighborhoods, about $1 million is what it takes to really enjoy your retirement, right? So if you're 40 years old, between $1,000 to $2,000 every single month for 25 years to have that in there. When you're 50, $3,000 to $4,000 every single month, right? And that's because that money compounds. So if you do the math on what those deposits are, right, it doesn't equate to $1 million because it's growing on top of itself. But I'm going to share a calculator here that really outlines compound interest and how powerful it is. And I didn't, let me see here, that's the wrong one. Hit the wrong screen. Give me 1 second. Got too much stuff open. I didn't really understand compound. So I had an understanding of it, but I didn't really deeply understand it until I started playing with this calculator. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed up some returns. So you see the speed of compounding, because we hear like from your financial advisor, right? Start 30 years ago, right? If we all would have started putting $100 away when we were 20 years old, we would all be in a really good situation right now, okay? But there's many of us that don't have that much time. I didn't start when I'm 20, I'm 41, right? So what do I do now because I've lost 20 years? And so understanding compound interest, let's just speed it up so I think you will. So let's say if you started with an account of $2,000, and rather than doing 10% per year, like a lot of programs are, let's do 10% a month, just so we can understand the power of compounding. And instead of 30 years, let's do it over 60 months, so 5 years, okay? Compound intervals monthly, just so we can see the basic math. I'm gonna click calculate, and it is a crazy number, okay? I'm gonna show you the graph here. This is why Albert Einstein says that this is the 8th wonder of the world, right? Because this is starting with $2,000 right here on month 1, and look what it grows into over the period of 5 months. And why it's the 8th wonder of the world is because this is a month period of time, right? Each one of these graphs, same return, same time frame, but because it's a higher amount, because you've given it time, it's more powerful when it's compounded than it is just by itself. And so just to go through this month by month, $2,000, first month, 10%, it's 200. That's simple math, right? So the end of month 1, you have 2,200. 10% of that's 220. So the end of month 2, 2,420. So compounding is just letting it sit in there and grow upon itself. So at the end of 12 months, that $2,000 is now turned into $6,000. And so in that same time frame of 30 days, 10% is 627. Fast forward to month 24, it's now 19,000. Fast forward to month 36. Now we're talking above the median income for anybody in the wealthiest country in the world, the United States, just over 36 months. So that's why Albert Einstein says this is the 8th wonder of the world. That's starting with $2,000 with some assumptions that it does 10% every single month. And so the reason we're on this Zoom is because we know this is powerful. We know that once you truly understand it, those who understand it from the quote are the ones that earn it. Once you understand it, you're gonna do anything and everything in your power to where you're getting your money to work hard for you, okay? Fast forward a little bit more, month 48, the balance is $194,000 off of $2,000. So now we're getting to the point in time where you can live a really incredible life, can do the things you want, you know, different zip code, different neighborhood, because you understood compound interest and because you had some tools that could actually speed that up and get it to work for you. So Bob, is that kind of what you're looking for when you're asking compound interest? And kind of just to go through really what it is and the power of it?
Now, one of the things that I saw, I always pick away some new things when you show us that compound calculator. And I saw on month 26, your monthly essentially residual, or whatever you want to call that, is more than your initial investment. And that now it's on a monthly basis at month 26. That's crazy when you think you could take, $2,000 today, and in, a little over 2 years, now you've got that coming in monthly, and then some, because it's still compounding as well. That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do that?
So 100% is possible, right? That's your money working hard for you. And that's why Albert, years ago said, this is the eighth wonder of the world, because it's just math, right? It is 100% just math. Now, we use some, returns that are not normally seen, right? When we talked on that article up here on CNBC, it's right here. Here's that article that I was referencing in that slide. This is how much you need to put in your 401k every month, right? This is based off of a 4% or 8% return, okay, yearly, right? And so that's what they're basing off of, because that's what is out there, right? That's what's out there. This other article up here that I was mentioning is that, the biggest fear for baby boomers is running out of money. And so when you see that this is here, it's hard to fathom doing 10% a month, okay? But what other thing we want to talk about, and the other reason why we're here, is that we've definitely found some technology, some systems that are doing that. In fact, Daniel, Bob have one system that they're using, that they're doing that regularly, sometimes weekly, that can really speed up that compounding, right? And some more hands-on. So what I'm going to show you are some validated, verified trading accounts. So yes, I said the word trading. Now, when I first heard trading, I was a little intimidated because I've never done anything in the financial markets. At the time when I first found this new technology, or it was shared with me, I was interviewing different financial advisors to figure out, okay, cool, I've waited till I'm 40. How do I, speed this up? How do I get it working for me? When they started showing me this, that I need to put in, $2,000 a month to have a decent retirement every month for 65 years, I started freaking out a little bit. And so when I saw this technology, it sounded a little too good to be true, but I'm like, wait a second, what if? What if I could take 20 years off my retirement, okay, but speed it up substantially with a whole lot less money going in? I'm like, okay, that sounds awesome. It's worth trying out. It just sounded a little bit too much, right? But the question I want to ask you is, if you look in the last 5 years, of the last 10 years, how has technology made your life simpler, right? And whether it's easier to drive around the city because of GPS navigation in your car, right? I mean, 10 years, I live in the Dallas, Texas area, and literally as little as 10 years ago, I would pull up it was a thick book like this thick. It's called a Mapsco. So if I had an address, I would have to look up the address in the book, and then it would tell me what page it was on. I'd go to the page and I'd have to figure out exactly what highways to get there, right?
You're not that old, Nick. Come on.
My time traveling in Dallas, that's exactly what it was, right? And then what happened from there? Then you'd go to mapquest.com and print out the directions so you'd have those in your hand. And what do we do now? I plug my phone into my truck, and it puts it on this like 8-inch display, and it draws it out for me. And then she tells me in my ear, because we all know that I need that in my ear because of all the other distractions. So technology has made our life simpler. That's one example, right? But there are self-driving cars now that have really advanced technology that are safer than me driving, because there's no distractions, there's no emotion. So you take that same type of artificial intelligence, put it into a software that trades with you, with your approval. And I'm like, wait a second, that sounds like that's possible and could happen. So I'm just going to share a few results. And all this is just to validate that this is possible. Let me just click on this one here. This is one software. Now this software, or what this is an FX book, and it shows you the whole history of the account, right? The good days, as you can see, the ones that are up, the handful of losses. But this is a technology that sends you an alert to your phone. You click a green approve button, and you can do well. So this account right here is actually the developer's account, but it's done really well. Now this one, they run really aggressive. So this 23% per month is not how I run my account, but I want to show you, hey, what's possible with the technology. This one right here is their conservative account, but rather than doing 7% per year, okay, averaging that per month. So I'm going to come back over here again real quick. This is an article from CNBC. This is what it says based on a 4% to 8% per year return. And over here, it's doing 7% per month on a very conservative account using technology, right? This account right here is from an everyday person like you and I, never traded in his life until he started using this technology. This is that same software. This account, he started February 23rd, so just over a month ago, 9.43% per month. This one right here has been averaging 12% per month. This is a software that's called Gearbox. This one right here, averaging 11% per month, a different software. So I just wanted to show you a handful of those that, number one, there is technology out there, right? There are systems, there are tools that can take someone that doesn't know anything about money, doesn't know anything about getting returns, investing, anything, that can actually speed up your results. But most importantly, it can get that money compounding, working hard for you, which leads to what Bob was talking about, right? Hope, driving through the neighborhoods, seeing what can be better, seeing how our lives can be enhanced. And in the end, that's what compounding is all about. So I think Albert Einstein, obviously he was a math guy, but for him, it wasn't just the math. The math is what he said, hey, this is why it's the eighth wonder of the world, but it's the eighth wonder of the world because of getting money working for you can dramatically change your life for the better.
Awesome. Well, Nick, you said a couple things in your presentation. One thing I want to tell everyone that's on here, I don't know everyone that's on here, but we're not here to sell you anything or pitch you anything. That's the first thing. We just discovered something that helps people, and that's my passion. That's Daniel's passion. That's Gina's passion, and I'm sure probably yours too. If you can help somebody find a better way, then that's cool. And you said something in your presentation that was 117. People are retiring with an average of 117,000 in their account. First of all, I don't know a whole lot of people that do that. My mom was a certified financial planner, and she was able to do that. But that, there was some money that was given to her as an inheritance from my grandparents, and she sold her business, things like that. But most people I know, they run on a month-to-month budget, and they run out of time, meaning, if I ever go to Walmart, there's usually an older person that's a greeter at the door. And I'm going, man, I don't think that was their goal in life, to be a greeter at Walmart at 77 years old. And then also on that, your dad has not that story, but a story that was compelling that you told us about. And why don't you share with us that, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, this is what compound interest really is, and why, basically, he who understands it earns it. It's not he who understands it seeks to earn it. It's he who actually understands it earns it, because you'll do anything and everything in your power. And so when I started experiencing, money working hard for me, I had a conversation with my dad. He just turned 70. It was a few months before that. And I said, Dad, what's it going to take for you to retire? Because I was hoping that he was going to say, I'm going to retire when I'm 70. He said, Nick, I can't. Because he wanted to have a good quality retirement. For him, if not, it's not worth stopping, right? And so this article here talks about, to have a quality retirement, here's how much of your salary you need to have saved.
Wow.
Okay. And so for him, he had about 1x of his salary saved, a little bit less than that. And so he's like, Nick, there's no way that I can stop. And he said, I will have to work basically till the day I die. And I just asked him a simple question, like, how much is it going to take for you to be able to say, hey, I'm done, and go enjoy your life? I mean, he's worked, 50 years, and most of those years he's worked 2 and 3 jobs. His hard work has paved the way for my brothers and I's, very blessed life. My oldest brother has been very successful in the business world. He played Division I college football. My other brother played in the big leagues for the Indians and the Angels. Hopefully none of you all have teams that's their rival, but played there. He's now the sports psychologist for the Atlanta Braves. and so works with all the high performance athletes there. And then I took the business route as well. And so because of his sacrifices, he's got nothing to show for it. And so I said, how much is it going to take for you to be able to just walk away? And he said, between $3,000 or $4,000. And so the reason I just shared 2,000, so I put in an account $2,000 for him. It was going to be his 70th birthday. Okay. And I scroll down here. And so it was about 6 months prior to his birthday. And so if you come down here, that at that point had grown 3,543. And I'm just using some, roundabout numbers. And so I showed him that account. I said, Dad, I took him on a trip. I said, this is not your birthday. This is your birthday. I showed it to him on his phone. And I said, in about 2 years, okay, so month 30, you're going to be at that point, right, where you're at least at the beginning of that $3,000 to $4,000 a month. And I said, you can make the decision if you want to completely walk away. So compound interest is math. That's all this is. I challenge you to come to a compound interest calculator, play with it. I challenged it when I first looked at this calculator. I'm like, there's no way that $2,000 turns in $600,000 in 5. There's no way that math does do it. But guess what? If you do it monthly, it breaks it out. And if you come and do 10% of that and 10% of that, 10%, that's the power of compound interest, right? But the math is what equals the life and the lifestyle. And so me growing up with my dad, I played college baseball. I played 4 years of professional baseball. My dad saw me play 6 games during college and didn't see me play one time professionally. And although I would have loved to have him there, I know that it hurt him 1,000 times more than it hurt me, him not being there. And so for me, I'll do anything and everything because I do understand compound interest. And that's, if you take one thing away from the Zoom, like Bob said, no one's trying to sell anything. It's that, hey, there is stuff out there that you can do that's going to put you in a really good financial situation, so you can go have a life, so you can be there, so you can be involved. So I don't miss anything with my kids. I'm the weird dad that everyone thinks, is the trophy husband without the trophy, the house husband. But little they know, I've just understood compound interest and letting it work for me. And so it's definitely fun, it's fascinating, and it's been an absolute joy for sure.
No, what's cool, Nick, is not only are you applying the principles of compounding to your life and your family, and you've been, you took the plunge, if you will, and started on that journey, I think 18 months ago. But you're doing that for your dad. And the concept of applying those principles to somebody else is really cool. So you've told me that story before, but it's just dawning on me going, whoa, that's super cool. And that's why I think that we've had this program here, is because ultimately the choice is ours. And that is, do you, 1, believe it, 2, want to apply it? And, my mom did something for my kids years ago when they were small. She opened an account for them for $500. It was, I don't know, mutual fund or whatever. And they could take it out at age 18. And it always helped them out. Sometimes it was $1,200. Sometimes it was 15, depending on, what was happening in the stock market overall and that kind of thing. It was really cool, because she put in $500 and it more than doubled in, whatever, 10, 15 years, whatever it was, whatever the time frame was. And I was thinking about that going, what would have happened? Well, in fact, let's do it. Let's put in the compound calculator. What if my mom would have put $500 into an account like this for my kids? Let's say $500. I don't even want to do it. It's like, oh, it's going to be depressing.
It's not believable.
Yeah, but put it 8 years. I mean, it was a lot more than that, but let's just do it.
I always do months because it's the math is not believable to where you got to go and actually calculate it out, but it's a crazier number for sure.
All right. So their $500 turned into an average of like $1,300.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. $500? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
And that's half the time. I did that on purpose because I didn't want to see the other. I would be depressed going, all my kids could have retired me with $500.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, and then times that by, I've got 11 children.
Wow, Bob.
Yeah,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
you need compounding in your life for sure, Bob. Absolutely.
Yeah, boy, I've got compounding, but I'm compounding kids.
And expensive. So
Yeah, and and that was one of the reasons. Even though my mom was a financial planner, when we were having all these kids and stuff, who could afford to put $500 a month aside or $1,000 aside? There's no way. And then you were talking about you having to put like $4,000 a month in, to hit that $1 million mark. I was going, well, what's it going to take at 57 at that annual thing? I mean, I'd have to put in like $8,000 a month. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? That's unrealistic. Or I could have put $500 in my kids' accounts over 8 years ago, and we'd all be happy campers. But that's the power of compounding. So that's what we're talking about. Hopefully, everyone on here is grasping what this is and how it works, because those nice houses and stuff, I'll guarantee, because even if you had the salary of a doctor, a surgeon, or those kind of things, there's only so many surgeries that you can do. There's only so many, patients you can see. There's only if you're an attorney, there's only so many cases you can take. And so, and there's people that have done well, and they're executives, major corporations, and there's people that own successful businesses. So I'm not belittling those. But what I am saying is, we have been shown, like from Nick tonight, the power of compounding and how people have got ahead. Shoot, the numbers that we just did with $500, what that would be over an 8-year period. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. And let's just say it's not 10% each and every month, because that's not realistic either. But Nick showed you a few of those FX books, which is a third-party verification. But let's call it 5%. I mean, that's crazy. I'm throwing numbers out there because, the market is the market. This is real trading, but it's just phenomenal. So, is there anything that you want to share with us, Nick? Or
no, the biggest thing, like Bob said earlier, no one's here to try to sell anything, just to really understand a concept about, hey, getting money to work for you and just being non-negotiable. That's like one of the big things in your life, because it can definitely lead to a quality of life and enjoying it. And so if you want to take a further look, get back with the person that invited you on, they can kind of go through, some of the things we have here. We have software that's really simple to run. We also have software that this whole group and community helps walk you through it, that even gives better returns than what we showed you here. And so the big thing I would just say, hey, is it's worth taking a look. When I first saw it, I'm like, you know what? Sounds a little too good to be true, but I can't afford not to take a look because of math. And I know when that math works, life would be fun for sure. So, and
now you're retiring your dad in just a few years.
That's going to be a fun day for sure. Absolutely. He'll probably go back to work because he'll get bored, but at least I gave him the option. So,
well, that's a good option to have.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Bob, you gave me a great idea for my grandkids.
There you go. It's
yeah.
I'm continuing the tradition, but it's interesting because all of a sudden on this call, I had a mind shift and went, holy cow, man. Only the kids and grandkids that went before them are going to be bummed out. They're going to go, wow, Grandma, why didn't you put us in that thing that Dad put us in?
Now we know. Yeah, now we know. That's all we can do. Move forward.
Hey, none of us knew before this call or before we started talking about this or before we saw the power of compounding. But now we know. Now, you either believe it or you don't. You either want to get involved or you don't. This is not a sales pitch. We're just trying to help people to be enlightened to what the wealthy are doing. And as you have seen tonight, you don't have to start with a huge account to make a huge difference in your life in relatively a short period of time. 5 years is not a lot of time. When you blink your eyes and 4 years goes by. I want to do one more thing, Nick, before we sign off tonight. Okay, I'm gonna do a hypothetical, but kind of hypothetical, because this is a goal of mine. All right, I'm gonna start an account with $10,000, and I want to make $30,000 a month because I can travel anywhere in the world if I'm making $30,000 a month. Can you put that in your compound calculator?
And you have 11 kids and grandkids that are growing. So that 30, your hot number is a little bit higher than the rest of us for sure.
That's yes, it is. But I travel a lot too.
I'm just messing. All right.
So
So what was it?
with my
$10,000.
So yeah.
How many months?
Just put in 60. But I'm saying when do I can I realize like a $30,000 a month, whether I am on a beach somewhere in the world or whether I'm, at home making phone calls?
Month 37. Or if you waited month 42, you could pull out 30 and then let it grow 10 every month on top of it. So somewhere between month 37 and month 42. So less than 3 to 4 years.
That's that goes by really quick. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
and with this, like what we've seen, like there are like, so when we put in the 10%, this obviously perfectly, and it is hypothetical. When you go look at the returns, it's not hypothetical. We're seeing those, but you're going to have a month where it is 12%. You'll have one where it's 4%. I've had a losing month. It's a reality. It's going to happen. But overall, it's about the long term where you're at, where you're going to be. But yeah, to me, it's just math. People say all the time, how much do I start with? Depends on where you want to be and how much time you want to be there. And then just put it in the calculator and it's math.
And the last question that I have, Nick, is, okay, so this sounds pretty good. Where do I send my 10 grand to and who's in charge of it?
So Bob has no, I'm kidding. You get to pick your own broker. And so this software is a software that's created to be used on the normal trading platform, but you pick your broker where you want to take your money. There's a lot of them that are really great. There's definitely some you should avoid, but it's like a virtual bank account online that trades. And so you get to select that. You have total control of your money, which is how it definitely should be. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't like that. You can add as you want. You can pull out as you want, take money away. It's whatever you want.
So if I put 10 grand in and it's trading and it's making money and doing this, but I have some kind of emergency and I need, 5 grand of it out, I can take it out?
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to what we just showed there, let's say you start with 10 and we come down here and you're like, hey, I'm a big believer on house money. And so your account would have doubled in this example in 9 months, 8-9 months. Let's say you go pull it out there. Yeah, you can take it out whenever you want. So when COVID hit, because I've been doing this for 18 months, so I was about 9 months or 10 months, I had an account that had doubled. And they said, hey, the banks are running out of cash and bills. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to clear out an account because I wanted to have some cash on hand just in case, because everyone thought the world was ending. And so I went and cash went out just like that, was in my bank account and took out the cash and it was good.
Super cool, man. Well, thanks for being on with us again, Nick. Rasul, thank you for your question, and everybody else for being on here. Get back to the person that got you on here tonight. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun once again. And we're helping a lot of people to realize the power of compounding, and Nick's helping us out. Thanks so much, Nick, and everybody else for being on here.
Appreciate y'all. Have a good night.